Yes, sir. Sure did. What's the 441 Martians? Peace, love, and all that goodness. Eat the thumbs. Y'all up? Y'all up? We up? Where we at? Spiritual crow call activation. Kind of late today. Had a late start today. Still a great day. And we always go with the flow. So here we are. We're spiritual crow call meeting today. Y'all come on in here. Catch it on the playback. It don't make a difference. Either way, you're going to get this message. You got to get this message. You feel me? So I want to talk a little bit about symbols and signs and the hero's journey. I got my book right here today. Let me show y'all what we got. I got this book right here, Signs, Symbols, and Source Book. Well, Signs and Symbols Source Book is what it's called. But it has a lot of different esoteric, occult knowledge inside of it. And I'm going to flip over here to this tarot section. The tarot cards are a very important part of the spiritual awakening and the spiritual journey because the tarot cards, they basically help you understand your wisdom. Like if you have a question and your intuition is not seeing through the illusion, there is cards that your spirit guides can help assist you with. You can shake the deck up, shuffle them up, you can pull them, you can let them fall out. You know, there's a lot of different mechanisms or mechanics to tarot. So I just wanted to go through the full, all the way to the world, because that's a very powerful journey. And if you will, you call that the hero's journey. And if you're ever in a place where you're confused about which part of the hero's journey you're in, you're going to need some assistance, you know? So you got tarot cards, you got pendulum swings, Ouija boards. You have, that's a pendulum swing too. There's a lot of different things, palm reading, because everything is energetic. Energetic is what the word is. So when you have a frequency, a specific frequency, things naturally match as they align in the frequency. So natural alignment comes with frequency alignment. And this is what synchronicities talk about. You're talking about synchronicities. And when you catch up to synchronicities, the closer you seem to get to a synchronicity, the more on point a synchronicity may be, you'll realize that you're closer to God's grace and you're closer to the Christ consciousness and the actual energy of Jesus Christ. And this is an energy. This is not particularly a person, although we will often manifest these things in personified manner. So there's Aries in the chart. You're going to come across energies from people who represent that Aries energy in a specific form of light. Then on the other side of the world, there's going to be somebody very similar that does the same thing, because energetic frequencies harness, aspects, lessons. You know what I mean? As you come across and meet people, you'll learn new things, whether it's by way of something difficult or a sit it right in your lap. The ability to tap in to like-minded individuals is dependent upon your frequency. So when we be up in the spot and asking questions like, damn, I wish I can get a good man. You know how y'all women be. Even us men, we be tripping. Damn, why I can't get a good woman? Does she always act like the same one that I had last time? That's because your frequency has not risen past that lesson that you received last time. You feel me? So last time you had a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, and y'all didn't make it through the long-term scenario. So what's going on is that frequency is calibrating against the other person, and the person who is giving you that static, you're having to excel past that energy so that you can rise beyond it. You feel what I'm saying? So, like I was trying to say, your frequency is important because the frequency will align you with your destiny, your needs, your wants. So if you're out of alignment and your frequency is at a certain level, Spirit's going to send you a frequency that is in alignment to tweak you just a little bit. It's not going to overload you and you're going to be overwhelmed like, oh my God, I can't do nothing right. But they're going to give you a person or a thing or something that has an energetic frequency to balance you out. So if you pay attention to music, music is not for entertainment. Music is a unseen spiritual conduit that tweaks and balances, because what does it do? It enhances emotional receptors. So whether you're happy, excited, sad, mad, it enhances it. And with that enhancement, it's allowing you to do what? It's allowing you to get into alignment. And getting into that alignment is allowing you to be naturally in tune with the etheric plane and the etheric realm. That's the realm that we do not see. We can see all this other stuff in the 3D, but the etheric realm exists in the 4 and 5D. And as we realize that we can change things with our consciousness in the 5D, we'll stop looking for external things to satisfy us. We'll stop looking for external things to distract us, if you will. Because there's a lot of things that's in this world that is a distraction. They've created these distractions to manifest their will and to take away your power, to be a divine being and an alchemist and fine-tune your own ship and allow yourself to ride the breeze, because sometimes we'll go against the grain. And going against the grain is not a good look. You're going to deal with a lot of heartache the more you go against the grain. You know what I mean? Going against that grain will give you a lot of tower moments, a lot of lessons. And in this tarot deck, they have a lot of different stages in your life. So let's go across these one by one. First, you got the Fool. And I'm going to read whatever they have in this book, and then we'll build from there. So first you have the Fool. And this is the major arcana, which it has 22 cards in a deck. So the Fool is commonly depicted as a young man in motley clothes, striding along with without a care in the world, a bundle over his shoulder, staff and the traveler in hand. A dog jumps up at him and rips his clothes, exposing his buttocks. The Fool appears to be dangerously close to the edge of the cliff. The numberless nature of the card indicates that the Fool is somewhere outside of society. And to the observer, the Fool appears to be aptly known. However, there are other aspects to this character. The limp bundle he carries is generally white, the color of initiation and secrets. His cap has a feather symbolic of transcendence and truth. The motley of his clothes is the same color worn by kings and priests, as well as the jester, and the Fool ignores the animal material world, the dog, in favor of his spiritual quest. No need for a companion on this particular journey. The staff he carries is not only a useful tool, but it is similar to the wand that connects the earth to the heavens. The image of the card suggests someone at the start of the journey. His bag is empty, ready to fill with wisdom he will acquire. This lack of possessions indicates the philosophical aesthetic in many religious traditions who trust the universe to provide with whatever he needs. The Fool is striding forward into the unknown. The Zero speaks of potential as well as of completion. The Fool is the only character from the major arcana that retains a place in the more mundane playing cards, appearing as the card that can replace any other. His multi-hued color gives him a chameleon aspect or else upset the balance. He is a reminder of the spiritual nature of a life journey, and his story unfolds throughout the rest of the tarot. So right here, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, that's our food. So a lot of us are involved in the food energy, and a lot of us have the ability to just block out this third density. You feel what I mean? And this is important for our chosen ones. I'm talking to y'all because the spiritual core call is for y'all. And there's going to be individuals like the dog that's going to be nipping at your foot and barking and hollering and making up a bunch of bullshit. Peace, family. All love. I see you. Unicorn stats. You want to jump in? We can jump in. How you live? But we're dealing with the ability to unsee all of this and dig into our furthest potential, which is going to be from the inside. Look, all love. I see the eagle, y'all. Hey, look. When I tell you this stuff comes from the source, I'm telling you. I say that. I say all day. Love. So we're needing to, especially in these dog days, fall back from the 3D. Maybe we're fasting. Maybe we're just eating a bunch of fruit all day long, y'all. Because this is what is harnessing the Christ consciousness right now. You know, if I go in there and eat a bunch of bullshit, and I do like to eat bullshit. I'm a number 9 numerology. I can eat anything. But when we go to eat a bunch of bullshit, it starts to clog your temple. And we all know how to respect a temple. Like if you ever go in a physical temple, like a religious temple, it's quiet in there. They might have some candles in there. They might have something that is symbolic to your spiritual reality, statues, whatever. So you want to do the same thing with your body. You want to have a spiritual attachment to what it is. Peace, all of my seed family. Hey, look, y'all can tap in. Just press join if y'all want to tap in, man. You know how I build. I build with everybody. But you're needing to keep this avatar clear and clean because we're giving divination, if you will. You know, just like you set up an altar in the house, you set your body up. Your body is your altar, and you feed it its spiritual knowledge. So what is that? Go outside and get the sunlight. Catch the sun rays. You know what I mean? Once those sun rays are face to face with your penile, you now have a solar plexus activation, because that solar plexus is right here in the center of your avatar. But the activation, it comes directly from the will of the sun. The will of the sun is going to align you with intel information as what you need to do. You're a soldier right now. So right now, you're taking orders from the alignment of Mother Earth. My Big Mama ascend the word, and you must carry out the word. You know what I mean? That's what we out here doing. So allowing your avatar to be clear and clean is going to allow you to accept that word, you feel me? And it's going to allow you to integrate the information that we are seeking. You know what I mean? Because we'll be seeking information all day. We'll be looking online. We'll be Googling that shit. We'll be looking for all of this external knowledge. And when you realize that your potential is in you, is within you, you begin to retract from the third density. And that's what this fool is all about, y'all. So we're not going to build on every one of them this long, but I want y'all to just stay with me, because we're in a hero's journey, and the fool is the beginning. It sets it off. You know what I mean? It said that he's dressed in the color of the kings and the priests, but he has motley garb. So that lets you know that he is built for the frequency of a king. He is built for the frequency of a god, a priest, a thought leader. But he must go through his spiritual initiation before he can crown himself as the king and get the world at the end of this tarot deck. So for all y'all who think tarot is evil, it has some sinister value, just do some research for yourself to see exactly what this tarot is talking about and what is it evolving, because it'll describe you in so many words. So the number 1 card is the Magician. So this is when we're starting to get busy and we're starting to learn that, okay, everything is alchemical. So the first number card of the major arcana, the Magician, or juggler, shows a man standing in front of a table. The table has 4 legs firmly upon the ground, representing the reality of material world, a stable base. On top of the table are the symbols that donate the suits of the minor arcana, as well as the elements, the cup, the sword, the wand, and the coin, or the pinnacle. These, however, do not symbolize reality. The trickster nature of the magician means that they are illusionary. Stay with me, this is important. This is illusionary, right? The magician, like the fool, wears the motley clothes of the priest and adept. Somewhere in this card appears the luminescent, the figure of 8 or infinity symbol. In some cards, it is concealed in the swirl of his hat. In the Pamela Coleman / A.E. Wider Weight Tarot, it floats above his head, and no attempt is made to disguise it. In this interpretation, the magician points with one hand to the heavens and one with the other to the earth. As above, so below, Baphomet type of vibe, huh? Okay. This posture says, as above, so below. I didn't even read that yet. The physical form of the meaning of the Solomon seal. Now look, full disclosure, my last name is Solomon, and the prophecy is real. I have a Solomon destiny. I have a Solomon journey, a frequency set for a king. That's me, y'all. I'm Chief Wise Eye. I'm coming out of the bushes. The full moon is exposing everything. I've been exposing all these fools and frauds on my Instagram. If y'all want to see the tea and know what's going on with that, because I've been involved with a really weird matrix, y'all get on my Moordreamzllc account just to, see how God maneuvers you through ungodly territory, if you will. So the magician is letting you know that he's ready for war, if you will, and he's letting you know that everything above that happens will happen below. So that 5 density that we're talking about, you create there, and then you bring it down here in this 3 dimensions. And if you stay in that 5 dimension creating, nobody can fuck with you down here. That's why when you get in your chi, you know your mudra signs, you know how these things have portals and these hands have a connection. You're able to put particular modalities on them to activate a certain frequency. Then you're working with that magician energy. So we're going to the high priestess, and then you'll be with the know-all energy. The high priestess is the number 2. Let me show y'all how the magician looks. I'm sorry. This was the magician right here, y'all. If y'all not familiar, get you a tarot deck and study it. It's important. We're going up to this high priestess, if you will. As the magician was the male number, the priestess has the number of the female. So the magician and the high priestess, they're like the twin flames. So if you ever get into a divine frequency, you're going to be dealing with the woman being the high priestess. She's the earth, the stability, and she's the water, which is the frequency of being able to be fed. So the man will come in and bring what? The magician energy. He will bring in that air. He'll bring in that fire. So if he don't have nowhere to set his fire up at, her earth is all jammed up or her earth is not stable, he can't get onto her earth and stably affect the 5 dimension. Do y'all staying with me? So this is why it's important for us men, us magicians, to recognize the nature of the woman that you're getting into. Yes, sir, family. You recognize the nature of the woman that you're getting into, and if her earth is not stable and she's not bringing in constant water to feed you with, then you don't set up shop there. Because it's not, we got it messed up in this patriarchy, and we think that it's for us to create the stability. No, it's for the male, the gender male specific, to create the illusion, because our divine feminine is tapped into the earth. And just the opposite for the woman. The woman, you would call her a divine feminine, but her animus is active, and her divine masculine is what balances her ability to balance the entire existence of mankind. This is why woman, quote unquote, is God in so many words and so many names, because her godly energy is able to tap into the concentration, that mitochondrial system, that mycelium network that's down into the earth. Her earth is already involved in that. You know what I mean? And that's why the women are better at this tarot stuff than us. You know what I mean? We can do it, we can read it, but we need the tarot. They probably don't even need the tarot. Most times they just looking at it to show and prove to you that, hey, look, the card says this. You know, you heard what I said, but I'm showing you so that your ability to believe is here. So you're dealing with the high priestess. She's the twin flame of the magician. So in the Pamela Coleman card, shows her sitting between two columns, Boaz and Jachin, that are not only the columns of Kabbalistic tree of life, but also the pillars that were used at the Temple of Solomon. This is tied into me, y'all. I don't know how it works for y'all, but this is always exciting to read this type of stuff. And which still influences the design of Masonic temples. Because these Masonic temples, they harness and hold your essence, your beauty, your brilliance. And depending on if they're evil or not, you won't ever know the greatness that they are involved in, because they may just keep that a secret. So there's a veil indicating secrets that are revealed only to the initiate. So that means if you're running around here doing X, Y, and Z, you won't be privy to the veil that will be lifted for you to see. The crown showing heavenly authority. And a throne, symbolic of earthly power. The seated posture of the high priestess is reserved for those who hold a position of great power. Apart from Hermes, the scribe of the heavens, the only character in heaven who is seated on God. Hermes is a Jesus character, if you will. He's a gatekeeper. He's the Trismegistus from the ancient temples of Thoth energy. That's the energy that you're dealing with when you're talking about Hermes. It just depends on which culture you're dealing with, and you might have a different face. You know what I mean? Just for an example, you know how certain references to Jesus might be a white person, and we all know that's not the truth. But they like to propagate that, and that's just how they see things. So it is what it is. There may also be a representation of phases of the moon. Anything with 3 parts symbolizing the triple aspect of the moon can serve. Can serve. I lost my spot, y'all. Wait a minute. Symbolizing the triple aspect of the moon can serve this purpose. The crown of the priestess sometimes has 3 layers, or in some decks, the symbol may be more obvious. In the Pamela Coleman interpretation, the priestess not only has a crescent moon on her feet, but her crown is in the shape of Akhet, the Egyptian symbol for the sun, coming over the horizon, that also looks like the balancing scales glyph of Libra. The priestess symbolizes balance between 2 opposing forces. The cross is also part of the imagery of the card, generally appearing on the beast of the priestess, indicating her sacred status. So what is that telling me real quick, y'all? That's telling me if you put all of your split personalities together, you will be involved in the beast energy. Y'all remember that movie Split? It was connected to the Samuel Jackson movie with Mr. Glass and what's the other one? Unbreakable, those 3. So in the third one, Split, Split, my bad. He becomes unbreakable. He's harnessing all of these personalities, all of these entities that are within him. And this is the Solomon energy. 72 demons, 72 angels. And there's nothing to be afraid of. I got God's child, Satan's angel tattooed on me. And when I was young, people would give me a lot of problems like, oh, you the devil, you got Satan on your chest. And I would kind of feel bad and not know why I even got the tattoo at the moment. But as I got older and my consciousness grew, I understood that there's duality in this sequence. And us as chaos magicians, we use it all. We use it all. It don't matter if it's good, bad, or ugly. If it serves its purpose, we're going to put it into our toolkit and we're going to use it. That's what this high priestess information is talking about. It's not just the all-knowing, it's the ability to activate that all-knowing, because after the all-knowing is the empress. And the empress is the number 3. And we were just talking about 3 because the high priestess was the 3rd card, but the empress is important because, like the priestess, the empress is also a seated, powerful female figure. Many of the clues on the card shout authority from her posture to the items that she holds or that surround her. Excuse me. She wears a crown and holds a scepter and a shield that has an eagle on it, whereas the priestess has an air of mystery about her. The empress holds much more worldly authority while retaining a feminine softness. That's that 3 God, y'all. That's that 3 God. And this is denied with the priestess. Her clothing is less rigid, and she is generally depicted in setting a daytime and openness rather than the dark. The scepter she holds looks like a globus cruciger. The globe is the material world, and the cross is the spirit. The spirit symbolism is further underlined in some instances where the empress is given a pair of wings. Whereas the priestess' arms are closed, the empress' arms are open, indicating a maternal or outgoing nature. The priestess guards something, whereas the empress reveals something. The empress is a figure of maternal love as well as authority. In the Coleman interpretation, her shield is heart-shaped, and instead of the eagle, it shows the alchemical symbol for the female. This empress has a field of wheat before her, symbolic of the fertility and a nod to the goddess Demeter. So let's look at these 2 photos. That was the high priestess right there. We seen her, but she's a little different than the empress. A lot less rigid, more open-minded. She's outside getting grounded. She's getting in alignment. She's getting into alignment. So that's 3 God. That's 3 God, y'all. You know what I mean? So as the alignment is asking you to open up to nature, the alignment is asking you to be open to others. 3 God energy is that Gemini energy, that network, and you want to send a message to your people, or you want to get online like I am now. You want to confirm something. That's that empress energy. And you have to be confident in your alignment to even accept the opportunity to network with someone, because we don't like rejection. And if we have the slightest energy or feeling that we're going to be rejected about something, we're not going to really reach out or open up. We're going to kind of clam up. So we're in Cancer season. So it is fitting to explain how people clam up when one may not know what to do. You know what I mean? And that's no diss. That just is what it is. You know? So we're moving along. That was the Empress, number 3. So next we have the Emperor. And he's the 4th card, or he's the number 4 in the card deck. And the Emperor is important to the Empress because the Empress is open. She's out in the field, right? But we need somebody to protect this field because she can't just get ran up on. She got a bunch of beautiful stuff in her garden. She's willing to speak to anyone. She's open-minded. She's graceful. So we need an emperor to protect her. We need a strong chrome heart to protect her. And that chrome heart means you're not black-hearted. You still have an energy within that says, hey, I'm going to produce something that is helpful for others. And if someone that gets in my way tries to ruin it, I'm not going to be upset at them. I'm just going to block them. I'm just going to block them because the emperor understands how the haters work. And the emperor understands how to maneuver with that chrome heart. That chrome heart is going to show him that he's the boss and able to It's flex, for real. That's what the Chrome Heart is about. It's a flex, you feel me? And that Emperor, let's read what the Emperor's got on paper. All the empirical qualities of the number 4 are represented here. Strength, solidarity, foundation. If the Empress is the archetypal mother, then the Emperor is the father. Sometimes this 4th card is called the Cube Stone. The Emperor also has a shield that shows an eagle. But whereas the Empress and her bird face to the right in the conscious realm, the Emperor and his bird face the opposite direction, embracing the unconscious. Effectively, the card faces one another, opposite sides of a pair, balancing and reflecting the fact that the Emperor shows his hidden side, reveals his confidence. He also carries a scepter topped by the cross orb, but whereas the Empress carries hers quite casually, the Emperor holds his firmly in an upright position, phallic symbol of male authority. The Emperor holds his belt or girdle with one hand. Another authoritarian, confident gesture, prepared for defense. The practical nature of the Emperor is emphasized too by the posture. His legs are crossed casually and appears to lean against his seat, ready for action, in contrast to the Empress who sits firmly in her throne. His crown too is not the elaborate headwear of the Empress, but it is a helmet, a more appropriate piece of headgear for a man that rules actively rather than passively. So sometimes a lot of times you have to be the Emperor in a scenario that is going to keep you from crashing your mind. You know what I mean? Your mind is a terrible thing to waste, and you want to stay logical when you're facing adversity. And that's what the Emperor is talking about. Protecting his head, protecting his neck. You know what I mean? That Wu-Tang energy, you're going to have that type of vibe. So next is the Hierophant. And after you done these 5 cards, you're looking at a space where the Hierophant is the speaker. It is the justified voice of the people. So they represent, the people's champ, if you will. Everyone's going to listen to them when they have X, Y, and Z to say. So, also called the Pope. Bro, these flies are not playing. Sorry, y'all. Flies trying to get my fruits, man. Also called the Pope, the 5th card of the Major Arcana shows a male figure seated between 2 pillars which carry the same symbolism as the ones the priestess in the Pope card. Namely, the pillar of the Temple of Solomon that represent the pillars of the Kabbalah, Jackim and Boaz, positioning in the center of these pillars. The Pope is balancing factor between 2 opposing forces and an interpreter between the 2 worlds, not only the mouthpiece for God on earth, but also the one who intercedes between man and God. He's the messenger, right? The Pope wears, I hear you, that's the Blue Jay. The Blue Jay got a language too, right? And we're going to tap into this on this crow call. That's why this is a crow call. All the secrets, I'm going to be tapping into them. We're just going to give them out for the free. Free smoke. I didn't pay for all this, so we putting it out. You know what I mean? But the Hierophant is tapped into the Jackim and Boaz pillars, just like the High Priestess. Positioned in the center of these pillars, the Pope is balancing factor between 2 opposing forces and are interpreters between 2 worlds, not only the mouthpiece for God on earth, but also the one who intercedes between man and God. The Pope wears the ancient triple crown, the Triregnum, and holds a scepter with the 3-barred papal cross on the top of it. The hand that holds this scepter wears a white glove, a symbol of religious and papal authority, and a sign of purity that has been adopted within Freemasonry. His right hand is raised in the traditional gesture of benediction with 2 extended fingers. Between them, 2 people kneel to receive this blessing. They have shaven circles or, what is that? Or tonsures, indicating that they too are of spiritual persuasion, likely to be monks. One point to the earth, the other towards heaven. The symbolic gesture that defines the way their blessings will be applied. One accepts the benediction as a spiritual boon, the other applies it in a practical way. Again, as above, so below. So Hierophant energy speaks about as above, so below. So Hierophant energy is spiritual, has a spiritual conquest, and is tapped into the godship of messages. So now we're going to 6. The 6th God, we just tapped into how the 3 God get down and what the 3 God is all about. So the 6th God is the lovers. Let's go back. Let me show you how the Hierophant looks before we move too far ahead. That was the Emperor and the Hierophant. One thing I showed y'all the Emperor is my fault. But you're dealing with the lovers right here. That's the 6th God. That's Drake. That's universal love energy. So, Drake had a rebirth. The dragon went in. He is the dragon, but Kendrick Lamar turned into a dragon and attacked the Draco dragon, which was a sight to see last year. But if you see now, Drake is fine and well. He made it through his transformation, and he's still the 6th God. You feel me? So when you're listening to Drake, remember that his lyrics tap into that Draconian energy. So right now, Drake's music is actually important. Go to Drake and just shuffle and see what he had to tell you. It may shockingly have a lot to do with your Kundalini rising. So the more information that he puts into you, whatever balance that is that you may need, the more opportunity that you may have or may seek for Draconian energy to rise. This is how avatars work, y'all. This is how energy signatures work, family. You know what I mean? You don't just listen to Drake and just think he's a cute rapper, you women. You know what I mean? Or you don't listen to Drake and you just think he's a midnight coming from your homeboy. Peace, red birds, love. So you use these energies to balance your avatar. So next time you listen to a song that you really like or made you cry or made you excited or pulled you out of a bad mood or made you into a bad mood, find out who that person is. Look up the chart if you can. Or at the very least, look up where their sun sign is, because their sun sign will show you how they're coming into your life, because the sun shines on whatever it is that you may need to realize. Follow what I'm saying? So what's the 6th God talking about? The card is sometimes misinterpreted as the lovers, plural, but the image depicts one lover, the man who must choose between 2 ladies. This card is about choices, echoing the forked path of the Y of Pythagoras. It is interesting to note that the character portrayed on this card, ooh, excuse me, y'all. It is portrayed in this card for the first time, appears as an ordinary human being. He seems to have no mystical or magical attributes and is faced with a very human dilemma. Above the head of the lovers and invisible to him is the winged figure of Cupid. Bow and arrow poised to strike indicate. Y'all see that? Posed. I keep losing my spot, y'all. Posed to strike, indicating that in this case, the choice may be made by external influences. That's heavy, y'all. That are beyond the remit of the man's himself. The powers of destiny are at work. The 2 ladies who seek his attention represent 2 very different aspects of the feminine personality. One wearing a headdress and seemingly more dignified touches his shoulder, indicating a more spiritual relationship than the other. A loose-haired temptress whose hand hovers over his heart. The lover is pulled between reason and the intellect. and the passions of sexuality. His head is turned to the woman on his right, whereas the rest of his body swings to the left. The number 6 is the number of sexual union, depicted perfectly in the six-pointed star as the Shat Kona, the union of opposites. It may be that the young man has to reconcile both aspects of the divine feminine without himself in order to become fully rounded individual. So what are we talking about, y'all? What we're talking about is divine intervention. And you'll notice, a lot of us, chosen individuals especially, you'll notice that your relationships have problems in them. Not because something's wrong with you, but because you're not supposed to stay a 6 God. But because you're supposed to learn how to pick and choose and make decisions that are important for yourself. And this is what the Lovers is talking about. It's talking about making important decisions for yourself and your ability to recognize what is best for you. And if you don't, Cupid's arrow will hit you in the heart, and it will let you know that, hey, this is what's best for you, man. I'm sorry. You need to tighten up. And that's what divine intervention does for us. Divine intervention will have you sick. But after all of it's done, you'll be on your way to be a 9 God. And we're getting a 9 God real soon. We got the Chariot next. The Chariot is the 7. And once you've been hit with that, once you've been hit with that divine intervention, and Spirit done told you, look, you need to make this choice. You're going to have to get in that chariot. And you're going to have to ride out, y'all. You understand? You're going to have to ride out. And the chariot has a split decision. It's a black and a white horse. Let me get the picture up. Chariot is right there. Right there is not a horse, but they're black and white. They're opposites. So it's 2 different ways that you can go. Now that you have this divine intervention, this information from Cupid's arrow to let you know that, hey, that woman was a piece of mess. Hey, that guy right there, he gonna keep lying to you. Hey, you don't need to be with this job. You need to be here. So universal love is going to always ask you to make a choice, because there's so much things that you can universally tie yourself to. And you don't want to be tied to something that is hindering your acceleration, if you will, your ascension, if you will. So let's read what the Chariot has to say, y'all. Here, the lover of the former card is crowned with gold. You feel me? Showing that he has resolved the conflict he was faced with. Here, the gold symbolizes the alchemical end game of enlightenment and transcendence. The man appears to be driving the chariot, symbolic of control. However, there's a split that illustrates the need to examine every aspect of each card very closely. Significantly, the horse has no reins and the driver does not steer the chariot, but they appear to be as one. The scepter is held in one hand and the other rests lightly on his waist. A casual but powerful gesture. He is secure in the 4-posted canopies to enjoy the journey no matter where he is carried. The card carries none of the ambiguity of destiny, but rather shows it as an unassailable force depicted in the wheels of the vehicle. Nevertheless, the figure is now master of his destiny. The chariot is pulled by 2 horses, one white, one black, symbolizing harmony between 2 opposing forces. Excuse me. Despite the fact that they seem as though they are pulling in opposite direction, that the character now holds a scepter signifies a spiritual dimension as well as mastery of the material world. However, the name of the card is not the charioteers, but the chariot. already giving a clue as to its emphasis. The chariot is not only a physical vehicle, but a spiritual one. The body is the chariot, and the soul that carries us where we need to be, directed by the conscious mind. 7 itself is a sacred number, a great significance that occurs time and again. The 7 planets, the 7 days of the week, the 7 heavens. So what we dealing with, y'all? We're dealing with that spiritual vehicle. Y'all remember Harry Potter when he was stuck in the house? I think this is episode 2. When he was stuck in the house and his uncle to them was giving him some shit, and Ron and the gang came in the car. That was the chariot. The chariot, you know what I mean? It was a magic car. It didn't drive regularly. It flew. And he wasn't even supposed to drive it. He stole it from his dad. Ron stole it from his dad. So Ron is spiritually connected because his dad was a wizard. He got into the chariot and he controlled the destiny of his spirit team. So he went and picked his spirit team up and they was out. Bitch, you feel me? So that number 7 energy is that spiritual conquest, spiritual knowledge, and the ability to get wherever it is that you need to go, because now you're in a vehicle of spiritual enlightenment. You know what I mean? That's what the chariot is about. The chariot has spiritual enlightenment, and you're looking for balance, because they're white and they're black. They sometimes can produce a confusion as to which way you're going to go. But according to the chariot, you already know what you're supposed to do. You just got to make the right decision now, because the lovers was the decision. Now you're in the chariot, and the chariot is asking you, are you going to go the right way? Are you going to integrate these things? Are you going to allow your spirit to navigate you to the proper places? Because when Ron Weasley and Harry Potter picked him up, where did they go? They went to Hogwarts. They went to Hogwarts. Hogwarts is the spiritual connection, the spiritual enlightenment that harnessed their ascension protocol. So in the occult, that's what you're dealing with when you're looking at that chariot. because once you get to that chariot, you riding. You driving. And the chariot gonna take you all over the place. Depending on how far your ride is, your spiritual adaptation will start to connect. Your spiritual adaptation will start to balance your being. And what's next in the tarot deck? That's justice. And what's justice looking like? Justice is looking like Ma'at, the scales of Ma'at, which is just asking you to balance everything that is spiritually, mentally, and physically in your existence. So justice can come in after you've done that around the world in your spiritual vehicle and you've been enlightened. And now your enlightenment is showing you that you can balance this thing. It's not a problem. You're good. So this is the 8th card of the major arcana and the first of the second group of 7 cards that represent the soul and the notion of equilibrium. The image is of an authoritative looking female figure, powerful and assured as she sits on her throne. Her seated posture further underlines her authority. The significant symbols of this card are, first, the sword that she holds firmly in her right hand until using it in the same way as a scepter. A link between the heaven and the earth. This implies divine justice, you feel me? As well as the earthly kind. The second significant symbol of the scale that she grasps in her left hand, together the sword and the scale have become universal symbols for justice. The card is the 8th, implying symmetry and reminder of the symmetrical luminescent shape that is in the infinity sign. The pillars of Joachim and Boaz appear once more in the upright parts of the throne that justice is seated upon. Sometimes the figure wears a blindfold, implying impartiality. So you're just seeing the chariot. So that's justice. So we're looking at the pillars, but there's justice, the balance in the scales, and there's a sword in case nobody wants to follow justice's rules. But finally, the figure wears a crown or helmet that depicts a solar emblem signifying the light of truth. Identically, the A weight reversed the position of the justice card that appears traditionally in the 8th position, and the card for strength or force that appears at number 11. So I've heard this a few times. I heard that number 11 is supposed to be justice, and strength is actually supposed to be here. So if that's the case, you're looking at after getting in the chariot, you're going to need strength to maintain this ability. And it makes more sense than justice being number 8. So we'll make justice number 11, y'all. Keep that noted. Strength, we're swapping that back to 8 because while you're in that Merkaba, your pineal gland, that chariot, you're going to need strength to qualify everything that you're learning and staying on that journey. And it's going to be important. So let's read that. This card is sometimes called necessity. In the picture, a fair-haired woman opens the jaws of a lion. However, she does not seem to be exerting any undue strength. She does not wrench upon the mouth of the lion, but uses her fingertips. And the lion does not struggle. Her approach is gentle. The lion might be more powerful creature physically, but he is no match for the human character. The card symbolizes the power of moral and spiritual strength versus pure brute force, a victory of the spirit over the flesh. The hat of the woman, like the hat of the magician, has a luminescent or figure of 8-shaped brim. This implies magical or superhuman powers, unlike the magician. However, she is not surrounded by elemental symbols, and she carries no wand. All her powers are internal and part of her being, not relying on external forces. In the gentleness of this woman's approach towards the lion, she uses a subtle power that is the promise of the female. Her strength is the strength of compassion, not physical muscle. The lion itself is a powerful symbol of the sun and the divine powers, as well as uncontrolled animal nature. The animal nature needs to approach with gentle strength and understanding to be refined. So that makes sense because now you're in the chariot. You're going to need that connection to realize your potential, because as you get to the hermit, which is number 9, that's the 9 god, and you're going to need to use that strength to qualify what it is that you've been learning. The 9th card of the number sequence of the major arcana shows an old man, his beard a sign of wisdom and experience, carrying a staff in his left hand and an lighted lantern in the other, that he is holding the lamp up as though lighting a path signifies darkness. However, the lantern carried by the hermit, generally a person of spiritual persuasion, may refer to internal as well as external illumination. The figure is hooded and he faces left, looking back towards the car that precedes him, almost as though he is lighting the way ahead for all the characters that precede him. The lover that appeared in the 6th card reappears here in the 9th position, effectively turned around by 180 degrees, no longer in a quandary about the choices he needs to make, but assured in himself and happy to be alone, seeking the path of spiritual enlightenment. The staff he uses as a tool signifying the journey that is not yet at an end despite his age of experience. When the god Woden appears in human form, it is often a shabby old man wearing a battered hat. The hermit signifies wisdom and the dedication of life to a higher authority. So that's number 9. That's 9 etheric. So we've been through 3, 6, and 9. So we can now understand what the 3, 6, and 9 is doing, because 3 is involving the Empress, that self-love for the Taurus energy. 6 God energy is that Libra energy. that's that that's that universal love, that's loving others, other individuals. Then you're looking at that final revolution of 9 God energy. And now you're loving yourself. And the inside that you love, it reverberates in connection to everything. And now you love everything, down to the trees, the leaves, the water, and you know what I mean, even the thieves. You feel me? So it don't matter. You understand what this is all about. This is all a part of a bigger reality that is causing you to ascend just like you're supposed to be doing. So number 10, after you got into the hermit, you come out the hermit, where are you going? You're going into the wheel of fortune. And the wheel of fortune just suggests that at any moment you turn on and activate your Christ consciousness, you may receive your wealth. You may receive your beauty. You may receive your individuation from God himself, because the wheel of fortune will ask you to take a chance, take a risk. And the risk is only because you calculated it. You know what you're supposed to do. You're a hermit. You're the 9 God. You have the 3 revolutions of this Tesla coil inside your being to create whatever it is that you want energetically. So, the 10th number card indicating the closing of a circle. Let me get these pictures for y'all. Hold up, my fault. So that was the hermit. Old man. And then that was the strength card. Now we're on to the wheel of fortune, y'all. And this is the 10. This is the closing of a completion. This is symbolism of a completion. You feel me? Whereas the hermit indicates the solitary, unworldly life, the wheel of fortune is very much a card of the world, representing all its challenges and changes. There are 2 strange-looking creatures at either side of the wheel that is crowned with a sphinx-like figure bearing a sword. This figure, which has an alarming appearance, is completely disassociated with the travels of the creatures below. All the symbolism of the wheel is contained in the card. It stands for the alternation of good luck or bad, dharma, the passing of time, and the need for life to have a balance of position and negative experiences. So the wheel of fortune means you're gonna be on that wheel on either side at any given Sunday, and you're gonna need to be grateful for it because there's a lesson in it. The 2 creatures can be interpreted as opposing forces and the dynamic of the wheel itself. The one on the right appears to be rising with motion of the wheel. The one on the left is heading at least temporarily downward. The rider-waite deck depicts this creature as a serpent. The opposing force are also a reminder of the yin-yang symbolism. These flies, boy. Where am I at? I done lost my spot. Yin-yang symbolism. 2 creatures can, no. As the character in the chariot does not need to steer his vehicle, but is as one with it and the horses that pull it, the wheel of fortune is in some sense of representation of the continuation of that journey. What? I don't know why they do that. Okay, sorry, y'all. It's a continuation of that journey. The wheel of fortune is an impartial force of nature and a reminder that freedom of choice also means the freedom to rise to challenges all a part of the rich breadth and experience that life has to offer. That's the Wheel of Fortune, y'all. So instead of strength being an 11, justice will be at number 12, because after the Wheel of Fortune, it will make sense to get justice. So we read justice. That's in the place of number 11. So once you get justice, you're going to be going to the Hangman, which is the number 12. Hangman looks like that, upside down man. Spiritual guidance, spiritual knowledge, and stuff like that. Let's see what we're talking about. Although this card initially appears sinister, the first appearance can be deceptive. The character is not hanging from his neck, but from his foot. The Middle Ages, the practice of hanging someone in this way was called baffling, a punishment intended to humiliate. The word itself now means to confuse or frustrate. The man does not appear to be unduly worried about his strange position. The hands behind his back might be tied together, but could also be clasped. It is almost as though his dilemma is self-imposed, and the pose brings to mind the 9 days and nights that the god Odin hung in the great world tree. Yggdrasil, as part of the initiatory rites, so that he might receive wisdom. The secrets of ruins were revealed to him during this time. Further, the casually crossed legs of the man make the shape of the figure 4, the alchemical symbol for Hermes and Jupiter. In yogic practices, there are head-standing positions as asanas, designed in part to provide another view of the world. The hangman is symbolic of the initiate who puts himself through a difficult process in order to attain enlightenment, purifying ritual. The character is not only suspended physically, but mentally and spiritually too. He has no way of releasing himself from the fate, but must wait patiently for intervening forces release him. The old name for his card was prudence. So what are we dealing with? We're dealing with that moment where you can't get up, and spirit won't let you move from the place that you're in. And it feels like a punishment, right? No. It's a test to first gauge your faith. It's a test to second gauge your discernment. It's a test to third gauge your ability to take orders and follow through. Because God frequency asks you to be of service. And God frequency is asking you to follow rules, follow suit. So there's a bunch of different hangman opportunities. But ultimately, a hangman opportunity is giving you the enlightenment. So you may be going through an initiation phase, or you may be out of initiation phase and you're just going through a waiting process. And this is just what we call divine alignment. Because things happening in the 5D, sometimes you gotta just wait their turn in line so that it can show up on the 3D. You know what I mean? You may be married to a person in your 5th dimension, and it's just waiting for you to align with that thought, that destiny, that legacy, whatever you want to call it. And once you get into alignment with it, it'll just show up because the frequency is magnetic. The magnetic frequency will harness whatever it is that you're looking for. You don't have to look for it. You have to just be it. Whatever it is that you want, you have to be it first. And that's why we get things that test our patience, because we might not have patience for certain things. And now that's why you got a person that's testing your patience. It'd be just that simple. So with the hangman, after the hangman comes out, you're just waiting. You're just waiting. And you're getting that enlightenment. And with that enlightenment, the ego is beginning to break down, deteriorate, and realize a new potential. It's starting to realize that, hey, stuff I used to do, that ain't gonna work. That stuff God had me doing, that's over with. Whatever it is, you'll learn it in the hangman scenario because you're gonna have a death, ego death, what have you, physical death, what have you. And this death energy is not, it's not avoidable. So what the death energy got to say? That was the hangman. That's death. All the typical symbolisms that we associate with death appear in this card. A skeleton figure, a Sith in the hand strides across the field. Across the ground are scattered bones and hands, a hand, a foot, a severed head, or a crowned man. The skeleton's right foot rests on the head of a woman. He has no respect for those he strikes down. However, there are also new shoots appearing in the muddy field, signifying new hope and revitalization, despite that apparent massacre all around. The number 13 is often seen as extraneous for the perfect number. Friday the 13th, y'all. 1 and the 3, that's the matriarchal number. The 1 is leadership, and the 3 is that empress energy. And that creates a number 4. Number 4 creates the emperor, the cube energy, that stability, that ability to protect whatever it is that you're creating. So with 1 and 3, you're taking the lead to create. But with the 4, it's stable and it's not going anywhere after you create it. That's how you do numerology and read numbers, y'all. Although the sight of this card in tarot spread can be alarming, it does not signify a physical death, but rather a change, an ending, or a new beginning. The death character is a harvester, an essential process that signifies a gathering of sustenance for the winter months ahead. Also, a way of clearing the ground for the new crops to come. Death is an essential part of the cycle of life. The 13th card, therefore, symbolize regrowth, reincarnation, renewal, a continuation of the idea of initiation started by the hangman. The skeleton itself symbolizes the inner part of ourselves that is rarely revealed. In order to make progress, sometimes that inner part needs to be examined closely to understand its mechanisms. That's the death, y'all. So after death, you're looking at the temperance. And the temperance is this. That's her. Right there. Pouring water into another cup over top of a river. Temperance is one of the cardinal virtues. It speaks of self-restraint, carefulness, and moderation. It also implies an easygoing nature, a sensible person that is wise enough not to be caught up in petty concerns, who can bring the bigger picture. The card shows a female figure, often winged, signifying a messenger from God. She wears a 5-petaled flower in her hair that is often a hidden symbol for the 5-pointed star or pinnacle. The key feature, however, are the 2 jugs that she holds, pouring liquid from one to the other. One jug is blue and the other is red. An alchemical process is working here because blue is feminine. Mixing with the masculine red produces violet, purple, the spirit, the color of the spirit. Knowing this, the flower is suddenly more than mere decoration, since 5 represents the idea of marriage or the union of opposites, is the sum of the female number wedded in the male number 3. The similarity to the imagery of this card is the astrological sign of Aquarius is quite striking. The sign is linked to the element of air and circulation of the blood, the life forces. The Temperance card may well be a reminder of rebirth, reincarnation. It is not just liquid that the woman pours with such care from the vessel into the others, but symbolically the soul. So that's the temperance, and the temperance has balance. temperance has the blue and the red, and it can alchemically create. Now that the ego death has went away, it's able to balance, and is now bringing the water, is bearing the water for others. But what happens with this balance, it attracts all things. All things. Good, bad, ugly, haters, people that want to harm you. Because nobody like somebody that's balanced when they're not balanced. It's difficult to watch. Because it's like, how do you do that? So, the devil can be attracted to this temperance. That's the temperance and the devil right there, y'all. Let's see what the devil's talking about. The devil card shows a winged figure with distinct male genitalia, as well as the breast of a woman. His fingers and toes end in claws. His peculiar headgear includes a pair of antlers or horns. His right hand is raised, and his left holds what appears to be a sword. Although it has no hilt, this sword is all blade. The devil stands on a small plinth that looks like an anvil. This is connected to a rope, and either end of the rope is knotted around the necks of the male figure on the right and the female on the left. These characters are not straightforward, though. They wear hats with antlers, have the pointed ears of animals, long tails, and cloven feet. The devil is an archetypical figure of evil, of great antiquity, who existed long before the Christian church demonized the old gods and spirits. The figure often appeared as a destructive spirit that was carried on the disease-ridden and pestilential winds of the deserts of Mesopotamia. It made sense for our ancestors to personify this natural phenomenon in order to control it somehow. Although we might think we know better, the devil archetype still carries a powerful symbolic punch. The usual image of the devil that resonates even today is of an androgynous hybrid creature whose animal nature is at conflict with the spirit. And this gives rise to the most basic interpretation of this card. It speaks of ill-gotten gains, given in to the desires of flesh, corruption. At its most basic, this card is a reminder that the man is effectively shackled to the material world and can be corrupted by these shackles. So, like I said, the devil will be attached to the temperance, and that ability to balance is very attractive, and that's like the Sinners movie. So what happens? Tower moment happens. Because we can't stay around the devil and create balance. So that temperance needs her balance, and it needs the devil to remove itself. So in the tower moment, let's go to the card first. That's the tower. Tower moment, we're eliminating the ops. We're eliminating the devil. This dramatic card shows a tower, its crown top falling towards the left as it is struck by a thunderbolt from the right. Two men are thrown towards the ground. In the sky are a number of circles that could be debris, hail, rain, and snow. At first glance, this appears to represent some sort of divine retribution. Following, as it does, the card of the devil that warned against the temptations of materialism. The tower should be the safest sort of fortified home. The card also brings to mind the collapse of the Tower of Babel. Again, an instance of godly punishment. However, the entire tower is not disseminated. The body remains intact. Only the turret is damaged. The card represents the sudden turn in fortune that appears to be disastrous, but which can end up being a positive force of change. God ain't gonna tear nothing down that He not gonna help you rebuild. But which ends up being a positive force of change. It can also signify sudden illumination. The lightning bolt that strikes suddenly and unexpectedly, illuminating all around. That presages a leap forward in consciousness. The pinnacle of tower represents the ego that sometimes has to be destroyed in the process of enlightenment. This card symbolizing the unpredictable stroke of fate, the wrath of God or destiny that shakes everything up, but nevertheless carries benefits in its wake. So the temptress is trying to balance. The devil's here, so God's just going to go ahead and send a blitz. Send a blitz and clear out all the demonic energy so that we can get into the moon energy, we can tap into our emotional body, and we're gonna let that expose the truth of what it is we may want to involve ourselves with. You follow me? So having to involve yourself with moon energy after a tower can be emotional. But that's what it's all about. To release that emotion and to reverberate a new emotion. Because there's a dog and a wolf in this card. So those represent two different modalities. The dog is the pineal gland, but the wolf is more like your emotional person that howls at the moon. So let's see what it says. At the lower level of the three layers that comprise this image is a square-edged lake with the crayfish in it. Above there are two dogs, possibly a wolf and a dog, that up to the moon, jaws open, possibly howling. To their left and right are the corners of the two buildings, both slightly different. One has a roof, other appeared to be open in the sky and reminiscent of the tower that was struck by lightning in card 16. In the sky, at the top of the card of the full moon, the face that points to the left and with the halo of rays, with moonbeams surrounding it, there are teardrop shapes surrounding it that seem to either emanate from the moon or alternatively are sucking into it. The dogs are a reminder of the hounds that accompany the moon goddess. Dogs also act as psychopomps, guardians of souls in the spirit. There is a nightmarish aspect to this card. The surrounding landscape is barren. Only two small plants appear in it. It's sort of no man's land. This card represents the dark night of the soul. However, the preceding card signifies hope, and the moon provides the light that is reflected from the sun, illuminating the way ahead, indicating the guidance will come above. So, well, like we were just saying, that tower moment, you done got stripped of something, and now you're gonna have to walk it out. So as you walk it out, your emotional body is going to need some help. So that emotional sense is involved with the moon. The moon energy is a balance, choices, chances, positive reflection, because it may be looking bad, but the reflection of the moon shining on you is showing you that there's a future ahead of you. And if you keep going, the sunlight will come out. The dark night of the soul will be over. You feel what I'm saying? We've heard about dark night of the soul. We all go through it. When there's something going on in our life that we love too much, the Spirit says, hey, look, we got to take this from you. You're not going to learn what you need to learn with that in your way. And they'll tower moment, they don't snap it out of your way. So now you're in the dark night of the soul. So the next thing you're looking for is the sun to come out. The sun will expose everything. The red sun is out now, which is rising the blue Kachina. And the blue Kachina is the truth teller. It's the truth teller, y'all. So we're getting close to the end of this project. We only got 3 more cards, but before this is over, you're going to look at the sun. You're going to see the sun. Right after that moon, you're going to see the sun. So what's the sun say? Here, the sun beams directly over the head of the twin human figures, an undetermined sex, possibly children. Whereas in the card of the moon, the droplets were absorbed by the planet in the sun card. The droplets are generously falling to Earth. Behind the twins is a wall constructed from 4 levels of bricks. The twins remind us of the astrological sign of Gemini, and it has been said that one represents the soul, the feminine, lunar element, and one the spirit signifying the sun. That's deep. I like that. The male energy. Wow, I like that. I like that a lot. Again, a tarot card indicates the union of opposing forces. The hope of the star that had to be... Wait, did we skip the star? Yeah, bro, we skipped the star, man. Hold up. I'm messing up. Before the moon, you had to turn into the star because the star is what's going to shine you through. So, hold up. Let me read the star. I already read the moon, but we're going to double back to the star, y'all. My fault, man. I knew something wasn't right. But the star is what you'll catch before you go to that dark night of the soul. Because when you go to the dark night of the soul, you'll know that you're the star. And you're going to have to shine bright at night. And the star shines at night, right? So let's read the star real quick because I missed that one. The star depicts a young girl naked pouring water from 2 jugs into the river that she kneels at the edge of. 1 foot is on the water. Above her head is a large 16-pointed star made of 2 8-pointed stars overlapping each other. Surrounding it are 7 smaller symmetrically arranged 8-pointed stars. This is the first appearance of the star on a card, but not the last. They represent the mingling of the earth with the sphere of the heavens. Earth angel. The surrounding landscape is fertile, and a bird sits on top of the tree. Where is the star? Y'all can see it. Bird sits on top of the tree. The bird is a symbol of the soul as well as the messenger from God. The jugs, like those in the Temperance card, are red and blue. They seem to pour endlessly. One splashes and its contents onto the earth, the other to the water in the river. Therefore, the girl nourishes the earth while replenishing the water of life and spirit, symbolizing by the river. Although this figure appears to have the same sort of angelic nature as Temperance, she has no wings, and the jugs are both red, signifying earthly life. The giant fixed star around which the others seem to orbit significantly eliminate enlightenment, a further step in the progress of the human psyche. This tranquil, vulnerable, and human figure stands firmly with 1 foot upon the earth, that is the material world. Other is the water, in the domain of the spirit. Nourishing both with the divine power that is continually replenished, celestial from above. This card represents hope and divination and inspiration. So that's before you get to the dark night of the soul, y'all. My fault. Because the dark night of the soul will take you into that moon energy. And that moon energy will have you waiting on the new day. So that new day will be calibrated based on you getting through that dark night of the soul. Clearing space, clearing your emotional field, and being the star once again, standing in the physical, standing in the unseen. You feel me? So let's go back to the sun. We were talking about the twins and energy, and behind the twins is the wall. This is the sun energy. After the moon and the dark night of the soul. Number 19. Here, the sun beams directly over the heads of the twin human figures of indeterminate sex, possibly children. Whereas in the card of the moon, the droplets are absorbed by the planet in the sun card. The droplets are generously falling to earth. Behind the twins is a wall constructed from 4 levels of bricks. The twins remind us of the astrological sign of Gemini, and it has been said that one represents the soul, the female lunar element, and one the spirit, signifying the sun, the male energy. Again, a tarot card indicates the union of opposing forces. The hope of the star that had to be held close to the heart during the tribulations of the lunar landscape in card 18 comes to fruition in this card. So what is it saying? It's saying that the chosen ones were going to go through the dark night of the soul. And when you go through that dark night of the soul, trust and believe, you clear out your space, you're going to get to that sunlight, and you're going to get to that realization that draconian energy is rising. The kundalini is now activating your pineal gland, y'all. That's what this Naruto energy is all about. I think I got this head on upside down, right? It got me all jammed up. Is that right? I don't even watch Naruto, but I know what this represents, so I wear it. So now that you have the sunlight, judgment is here, and they're going to blow the trumpets, and everyone's going to shout out and holler out at you. Like, hey, I see you, my boy, I see you. So here, the dominant figure is the winged trumpet blowing angel that appears in a framework of clouds and beams of light. A truly apocalyptic vision. Below, in front of a mountainous landscape, two figures face a third that is climbing out on a trench in the ground. The third figure has its back to us, but the tonsured hair is the same as that of the character that appeared before the Pope in card 5. The other two figures, as a woman and an old man, they are praying. This card represents Judgment Day, the resurrecting or awakening of the dead. Judgment Day, y'all. Are we here at Judgment Day? I think we're on Judgment Day right now. The figures, wait a minute. The figures are naked, stripped of all worldly goods, reborn. The trumpet symbolizing the voice of God that awakes them. But this symbolism is not a straightforward biblical revelation. It can also be the trumpet of the enlightenment, and we are reborn as fully integrated human individuals. Self-awareness and the ability as adults to throw off earthly concerns means that we can become an innocent and alive as the two children in the preceding card. The judgment card is a call for truth and a promise to the self to maintain and look after his born-again consciousness. The idea is a call from the trumpet also indicates another kind of call, the call towards vocation, or an external driving force that causes us to place the material world in second place. So, chosen ones, once we get to this judgment day, and we're at a judgment day right now, we're going to need to be exposing the truth. We're going to need to stay true to our Christ consciousness, and God is going to ask us to complete its will, whether it's physical, mental, or spiritual. So like I've been telling y'all, there's a lot been going on with the chosen this year. 2025, July is a portal. And if you look on the timeline with the chosens, there's a lot of drama going on in their lives. And this is because the Jason months are here, and we are cleaning up the mess. There's a huge mess out here, and the Guardians of the Galaxy are cleaning it up. You know, some people don't want to get cleaned up. You got to throw them in the dumpster. If they don't want to go in the bathtub, throw them in the dumpster. They out. They got to go. And this is what we're witnessing right now. So I'm exposing everything on my Instagram, Moordreamzll. Check it out. Support a chosen one, because I'm in the trench right now as we speak. Still in the trench, looking for my justice, and I'm calling judgment on all these people. King Kong ain't got on me. But because after all of that, that whole walk, that whole journey, you're looking at the world. And that's the last card. That's the last card in the Arcana, Major Arcana, number 21. It's the 22nd card in the deck. So this is the last of the cards in the Major Arcana. The number itself signifies the coming of age, 21, that's a 3. The coming of age when the world is given symbolically by the key when a person reaches his or her 21st birthday. Excuse me. The card shows a young woman whose sex is concealed by an artfully placed scarf. Her legs are the four figures in common with the hanging man's posture. She looks to the left, wands in both hands. The girl is enclosed in a laurel wreath in the shape of the Vicia Piscia, and surrounding her are the four metromorphs, human hybrid figures that rule over the elements of the four corners of the earth. These figures are winged, working clockwise. Working clockwise from the upper left hand corner. They are the man, the eagle, the lion, and the ox. This is the card of victory and rebirth. The Vixia Piscia that the girl emerges from is a magical doorway from the spiritual world to the material world. Here the reef seems to be comprised of two halves that are joined together at the top and the bottom, and it also represents the egg that itself is a symbol of creation. The laurel leaves are symbolic of victory given to great heroes. The presence of the tetramorphs not only witnesses this victory, but signifies the four corners of the world that are now belong to the girl. The two wands imply the perfect balance of opposites, consciousness and unconscious, matter and spirit, harmony and universe. So that's the end of that arcana, that major arcana, because now there's balance here. The four corners are in control, and that being has the spheres that will keep her in the loop. You know what I mean? Not the infinity loop, but the cycle of spirit harnessing its godship and creating God's son. So that was the walk of the chosen, y'all. So you're going to go through that walk if you have not already, maybe once or twice too, maybe 3 times. I don't know. But it's important to recognize where you are in your journey so that you can continue to move forward. Follow what I'm saying? You don't want to be lost in the journey and you don't have any idea where you're going. So send this video to someone who may need identifying where they are. Send this video to a chosen one. Y'all come in here, y'all build. Y'all let's build on this type of information and challenge each other to do a little bit better. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to tap in. I'm going to tap in again. You know how we do. I might bring the Book of the Dead out and see how we can rap with this, because there's a lot of untapped potential in here, because this speaks more directly to our individuation of aboriginals. You know, Jesus and the Bible, it works, but the Book of the Dead is a little closer to our reverence. So we'll probably bring this out later. Next week, I'm going to do the subtle body. We're going to be bringing the subtle body book out, and we're going to talk about spiritual awareness, y'all. Anybody watching this video right now, I appreciate y'all. Love, light, and all that goodness. But don't forget to keep the darkness in your pocket in case you need to pull it out. Feel me? Love.